welcome to a Knitting Pipeline Extra. I'm Paula. I'm the host of the Knitting Pipeline audio podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Prairie Piper and on Instagram as Knitting Pipeline. You can also find show notes at the show blog, which is knittingpipeline.com. Welcome. Welcome to people who are here for the first time and also those of you who have seen or heard me before. I have quite a lot to share knitting-wise. I'm doing the knitting and the quilting in separate episodes. So if you're here for quilting, then that is called Quilting Summer 2017. And so here we go. I think I'll start with my finished objects, as most people tend to do. But before I do that, this is very important. We have a discount code, a coupon code for Knit Circus yarns. Knit Circus has been sponsoring the Knitting Pipeline audiocast for some time, and they have generously given us a code to use through the end of July, which is one of the reasons I really wanted to get this out here soon. And that discount code is for 10% off anything in the Knit Circus online shop. And the code is Pipeline, P-I-P-E-L-I-N-E. I had to think for a minute. I'm a little camera shy, I guess. And I also have a giveaway, which I have announced on the audio podcast, but you still have through, well, probably through July, let's say, to get your name in for that. And that is for a, let's see, they call it a medium set, 2 cakes of their Greatest of Ease, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and it's a sock set. This is a gradient set that is perfectly matched, so you can start your socks either toe up or top down, and you will have 2 matching pair. This is called Turquoise Pool, and I'm a big fan of Knit Circus. I'm going to show you a couple more skeins here that I'll be giving away in one in each month from July, August, and September. So this is the July giveaway, and it's so pretty. So you can enter that by going over to the Knitting Pipeline group on Ravelry and finding the thread that says Knit Circus giveaway. It is a separate thread from the episode thread. And then I also want to show you what's coming up. This one, this beautiful Knit Circus yarn, is one that will be given away. I'm not sure if it'll be August or September, maybe September. It's La Vie en Rose, and this is their parasol, which is 30% mulberry silk and 70% US merino. And this is a 100-gram skein or cake of that La Vie en Rose. Beautiful. From Knit Circus. And in the thread, if you'll just go to the Knit Circus site and tell me which is your favorite of the Knit Circus colorways, or one that you would like. It's hard to pick a favorite. This one's called Just Have a Little Faith Impressionist. And this will be possibly the August or September giveaway. I haven't decided. And this is Trampoline, which is 100% superwash merino. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the blues going out. And by the way, in case you didn't hear me say this before, sometimes when you look at these, you think that there's a lot more gray than blue, but actually it's an illusion. There's the same amount of each color, and it just looks sometimes like there's less of the one in the middle. So that's another one. And then this one they sent to me to use, which I'm so excited about. This one is Many Happy Returns, which was a special birthday colorway. See if I can get a little closer so I can tantalize you with that. Okay, thank you so much, Knit Circus, for the generous donation, giveaway, and the discount code that's good through July. Okay, now a couple of finished objects. I don't have that much to show because some of these things have been given away. I finished the Georgetown, which is a cardigan by Hannah Fettig from the book Home and Away, for my daughter-in-law, and took it to her when we went down in June, and she tried it on. She was 7 months pregnant at the time, so it's, it fits her now. It's fine, but she's not going to be wearing it in the summer. So I only got the one photo, and she's actually kneeling in the photo. So it's not the best, and I have some flat shots that I took before we went, so I'll put those, maybe you're looking at those now. And it's a great fit. I talk about it in a little more detail on the audio about why I decided to do it, because in that book you have the choice of doing your work in mostly seamless or in pieces, and I chose to do the mostly seamless because it would be easier to alter the sleeve length in case I got it wrong, because my daughter-in-law is quite tall. So she was thrilled with it, and I'm excited. It was a great knit, and I look forward, now that I got her size down, I look forward to making more sweaters for her because she's a very knit-worthy recipient. I finished a pair of socks. These are just plain socks. I cannot figure out the lighting in this room. But anyway, I knit these mostly on my trip to Iceland. And at the end of the episode, I'll be showing you some of the photos from Iceland, and I'll just leave that to the end. So you can stay on if you want, and you don't have to watch it, obviously. So I did 2 of these. I have found that plain vanilla socks are just not my thing unless they're striping, self-striping, or some kind of patterning. I did these. It was, I guess it was okay travel knitting, but I didn't really enjoy it all that much. I like a little something to keep me busy on that. I don't mind stockinette in other garments, but I don't know. I'm just not that wild about socks that way. This is a size, these are size 12 men's, and will probably be either for one of my sons or my husband. They all wear pretty much the same size, except for the youngest. His foot's a little smaller. I'm taking those off the sock blockers because I don't like stretching them out that way. That yarn is snail yarn that I purchased at Edinburgh Yarn Festival in 2016. I also have, let's see, well, let me do this one. This is what I'm most excited about right now, and that is my gloves, and I'm putting them on so you can see them. Here they are. These are Lucy gloves by Dawn Catanzaro, for Quince & Company, and the yarn is Chickadee. That's the Quince Sport Weight. The color I have here is Leek, and I'm so excited about these. I waxed poetically about them in the audio, and I just really, really enjoy knitting them, and I want to knit more gloves now. In fact, I think we're going to do an informal glove knit along in the Knitting Pipeline group. If you have never knit gloves, don't be put off. For 40 some years, I haven't knitted gloves because other knitters told me that they were so tedious, and who wants to knit those fingers? You know what? These are not that tedious. If you've ever knit a mother bear, which is coming up soon, the sewing up of a mother bear is way worse than knitting gloves. If you've ever knit toys, that's about the same. So don't be afraid to knit gloves. I'm going to be knitting a bunch of gloves. You're going to be seeing more if you come back. And I didn't change a thing about the pattern. Isn't that a gorgeous cable-y pattern? And yeah, my project notes have a couple of things on there about how long I made the fingers before I started the decreasing, which is basically to the end of my finger. And I just had a ball with these. It only took about 4 days, so don't be afraid. They're not difficult at all, and they're not as tedious as you might think. Okay, now I'm going to do my works in progress and kind of half finished, because I don't know if I'll be doing a video episode before I give this away. And a couple of things that I've already given away. I did a shawl, for a friend's granddaughter and for her doll. I used the Holden Shawlette pattern on that, but knit it in a heavier weight. And then something else I've given away. I can't remember what it is. But this is little baby sweater is getting a little blown out. And I haven't talked about this on the audio yet. I may not say a whole lot about it. It's a great pattern. I've done it many times before. It's the Annabelle Babe cardigan. And that is, sorry, I think it's Cecily Clark McDonald or Carrie Bostic. I get those two people mixed up. Anyway, sorry ladies, but I'm sure you're not watching this. So the thing with this is I bought this yarn in Scotland in a little shop, and they only had 2 skeins of the pink and 1 of the cream. Can you see there's 2 colors there? I knew it wouldn't be enough for much, but I sort of wanted to support the shop, and there wasn't much else in there that attracted me. It's a DK weight. I can't remember. Wendy something, Wendy Knits. And so I had to be a little bit sneaky about how I was going to work the colors, because so I did the sleeves all in pink, and then I did a little single stripe color change there. I think you can see it. So it looks intentional, I hope. Anyway, I did the 6-month size. I probably should have done the 3-month size, but I don't have buttons on it yet. I love this pattern. It's so fun. I mean, it's just an easy knit, and I love garter stitch on babies. I kind of got that imprinted on me by Elizabeth Zimmerman, and I totally agree. And I like the raglan with the garter stitch. I think it's really pretty. So it's just a sweet little cardigan that I need to get buttons on, and I think I have them picked out. They're from my button stash. They're vintage buttons that are sort of a mother and pearl look to them, and they'll go. They're just 4 buttons. I was going to put 5, and I forgot the 5th buttonhole, so I just went on with it. I'm almost, these are the Apple Blossom socks by Curious Handmade, and I'm going to go ahead and show you this. I'll slip it on a sock blocker. These have been all over with podcasts because they've been so popular, but they don't really look good unless you can see them on a sock blocker because of the lace. And I just enjoy these so much more than those plain vanilla socks. I like Nina Phillips patterns too, and Helen's. This has something to keep your interest. I told Helen that I was thinking of just doing the lace on the front of the sock, and she said, "Why would you do that?" And anyway, I like doing that, and I learned that from Nina Phillips. She has that on most of her patterns, but I decided to go ahead the way that Helen had it planned, and I did the sock. And I'm about this far, halfway down the foot, almost probably in another evening, I'll finish the foot and toe, so it won't be too long before I get that done. As you can see, these have a traditional heel flap and gusset, and they're for me. So I didn't think that this color or lace were going to work for any of the men folk in my family, and I don't really have any women folk to knit socks for, I don't believe. So yeah, those are the Apple Blossom socks, and that was a kit, and the yarn is, oh goodness sakes, it's not the Wool Barn. I can't think of the yarn. Sorry, Helen. I know you had a special colorway for that, and it's just slipped my mind. Then I've been knitting Mother Bears. Look at this. Okay, yeah, here they are. Don't they look gorgeous? So I have knit up 4, and I've only sewn 1 together, and the sewing up, I think, for me is just, but the next ones I'm going to do in the round, so I won't have so much, but look how many ends there are. You don't have to weave them all in, but still, just the sewing up and everything is, it's torture for me. I just do not enjoy it, but it's a good cause, so I will do it. I rather prefer doing the head in stockinette than, this one I kind of forgot to do. He needs a face, but I did that in garter, and before I remembered that, yeah, I really prefer doing the head in stockinette. And it also seems easier to get the face right when you do it that way. But one thing I did learn, and because DC Elaine was telling me, you don't need to weave in all those ends, just stick them inside. And that's true, but I was trying to sew the brown. I'd sew the brown with brown, and then I'd finish that off, and then I'd sew the next color with whatever color was best for it, and then I'd tie that off. And it suddenly hit me on this last one that all I really needed to do was just sew, because when you're doing mattress stitch, the color doesn't really show, right? So just sew all the way down here. And so that helped a little bit, but there's still a lot of finishing work. So I will get them done, and that's for the 2 Knitlet chicks, their Mother Bear Cow that they do annually. And sorry, Barb and Tracy, but those 4 are probably going to be it for me. That is, and those are done in Knit Picks mostly. Knit Picks Bravo is the main, and then the brown I have Woolies, I think is what I used for that. Okay, now I'm going to get into a few acquisitions, and sorry, I forgot to turn off my mail. I'm going to do that so we don't get any more messages coming through. Okay, and let's see. Let's go with I'm going to go in reverse order, I guess, because it's just easier to reach some of these things. On the Father's Day weekend, my husband and I drove up to Minneapolis because our nephew and family are home from Poland. We're home from Poland for family visit. And I was able to meet up with the lovely Sarah of Love Sock Wool podcast. We met for breakfast with my husband, and then Sarah and I went to the Yarnery, which is a lovely yarn shop, well-established yarn shop in St. Paul, which I highly recommend. I also ran into Linda there, who is one of our listeners and also attends the Eagle Crest retreat. So Sarah gave me this beautiful skein of house gnome. I had to look to be sure, by No Makers. I knit once with No Makers a long time ago from Camp Kip. We got a skein in our goodie bag of No Makers, and I think that's the only other time I've knit with it, but I hear about it all the time, and the colors are lovely. Thank you so much, Sarah. I know I will enjoy that and think of you when I knit with it. And then the Yarnery, they just carry a beautiful selection of yarn, like Brooklyn Tweed, for example. They had Shelter and some of the others, and Madeline, was it? Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to say because I can't remember all of them now, but there were things I hadn't seen before, including their own yarn line, which is called Pop. And I decided to buy 2 of these fingering weight. They're, honestly, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's almost a hot pink or it's a pinkish red. I'm not sure, but I thought I'd make a beautiful shawl or maybe a lightweight sweater for my granddaughter or probably the current one. We've got another one coming, which this is more yarn than I would need for an infant, but that is gorgeous, and it's wool superwash merino. If you're in the Minneapolis area, the Yarnery is definitely a great place to visit. Okay, I think I'm getting into, I'm getting into Iceland purchases and the Iceland trip. So I can show you this. This is for Mary, Woolly Bear 368. She loves puppets too. Hi, Mary. I bought this at a shop just down from our hotel in Iceland. And it has I like puppets, and I don't have a collection like Mary does, but when my granddaughters are old enough to play with puppets, then we're going to have fun, because I have an owl and I have this one, and then I have puppets that I made way back in the 70s, so maybe 80s, I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, okay, I'm just going to take these in the order that they show up here on the table. One of the last days of the trip, we made we had a day trip down south and east of the island of Iceland. And there was a shop called Thingborg. They have kind of their own wool, and they had gradients. So I purchased a gray one, and that's what I used to make this hat. And I was really tired of knitting those socks by then, so I just cast on and went with it. And then I have this dark one that has gray in the middle and then goes out to black. So I believe I cast on 80 stitches and did the ribbing, and then I just went straight up, and just your normal basic hat, and had fun with that. And that is, of course, Icelandic wool, which is what you find in Iceland. Iceland, what can I say? If you have a chance to go, it is an extremely dramatic and interesting country for knitters and anybody. I mean, waterfalls, volcanoes, geothermal. You just driving along, you see poofs of steam coming up out of geysers. It's an amazing place. The first place that we went to, it was our first big trip there, day trip. We went to the dyeing studio, Hespa. Oh, that's a reflection there. And this is the set that I got. It comes with, I believe there's a pattern inside. I don't think I'll use the pattern, because it's just a basic triangular shawl. But the kit contains 150 grams of plant-dyed single-ply Icelandic lamb's wool and a pattern for a traditional Icelandic shawl. The wool is dyed according to old Icelandic traditions with a modern twist by Gudrun Bjarnadottir, a biologist who operates an open workshop using plant dyes in Borgarfjordur under the name of Hespuhúsið. So I just think those colors are gorgeous. I think I'm going to do one of Helen Stewart's Curious Handmade shawls, or I might just do, I don't know, I might do my own thing. We'll see. And then I purchased extra of this color here. And what I have in mind is maybe a half pie shawl, which Helen has a recent one, I think is half pie, and then I could have the border in this. This is, she told us, we had a little talk in her studio, and she told us she should show us the yarn and then tell us what she used to dye the yarn with. And this is lupin. We saw Alaskan lupin all along the sides of the road, and as we were there for, I don't know, a week and a half, we could see that it was getting more mature and flowering more as we went along. And I'm really excited to knit with this. It was my first purchase there. I didn't go too crazy in Iceland buying yarn. I was really excited to get that especially, and I love that the colors are all so muted and beautiful and natural. Well, let's see, you can't talk about Iceland without getting into Lopi, but the next thing in my within my reach is something I bought at a commercial yarn shop. One of the latter days we went to this shop called Storkurinn. There it is, which is in Reykjavik. And I had not seen, this is commercial yarn. It's probably available now in the US, but it caught my eye and I wanted to buy something. It's Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino tonals. And I didn't know that, or I've never seen the tonals of Debbie Bliss. I'm sure I could find it, but I love grays and I love good tonals. So I got 4 skeins. I've already swatched with it because I couldn't wait. So I've done that. And that'll probably be a baby sweater for the little one. And then, of course, you have to buy Lopi here in Iceland. And we had sort of a, it was like, what do you, well, a trend, you might say, because Angie Silverbell started a shawl. A bunch of people bought, I think it's called Nordic Wind shawl, and a bunch of people bought the pattern and started knitting. I'm going to have to stand up to get this next thing. But I just bought various colors of Lopi, and I bought most of these at the store. Here's my bag. Circus wool store, which was so much fun to go there. And here are the colors that I got. So it's hard to pass up Lopi, and I kind of wish I'd gotten more, but this is fine. Look at this golden color. Isn't that pretty? I don't think any of these have names on the colors, but they are gorgeous. And I tried to pick, I figured when I was knitting on these, fall would be getting close, so I picked mostly colors that looked kind of like fall to me. Greens, orange, yellow, and then a bunch of grays. And just in case you're curious, these, I don't know, they cost around $3 or something like that for really nice Icelandic wool. And it's gorgeous. What can I say? So I didn't want to be overwhelmed with purchases, and I actually thought I would knit a sweater, get a sweater's worth for my husband, but I don't know. I just ended up not doing that. But a little tip for when you travel is to take compression bags. These are fantastic to take. And I think I could have gotten my purchases in my suitcase because I took a pair of walking shoes that were past their, I mean, they were past their prime, let's face it. And I intended to leave those shoes there because they were pretty much done for. So even without the compression bags, I think I could have gotten everything in my suitcase, but it sure did help to have this. And I used to buy these at Target, but they don't really carry this type anymore. And so I ordered on Amazon, and I was happy with the ones that I got. I'll try to remember, put them in the show notes on my blog, which ones I actually purchased. But these are ones that you don't need a vacuum cleaner to operate. And you might think that this doesn't work real well, this seal, but what you have to do, because I read the reviews and people were saying it didn't work. Well, I think they just don't know how it's supposed to work. So see, it's open. If you just do it like that, it doesn't do a great seal. You have to, unlike with a Ziploc bag, you have to pinch this thing together and squeeze along here. Put your things in, you do that, and then you just roll it. You keep rolling the bag, and it has a valve. You can't really see it, but it has a valve where the air goes out, but it can't come back in. And it compresses, you can, I mean, yarn compressed. That Lopi that I showed you was all in one of these bags, and it worked great. So I take them when I travel, and you could always just put your clothes in there, dirty clothes, or I don't like to do that because then I wouldn't want to use the same bag again, but it did work great. Okay, I'm going to look here. I think that that's about it for this month. Feels like I didn't really show you much knitting, but I've been working on a design project. That's why. I just finished it, so now things will boom a little bit more. And this is not something that's going to be coming out right away. So, yeah, that's about it. I wanted to remind you about the Knit Circus discount code for Knitting Pipeline listeners and watchers, and that is Pipeline. You can go to the Knit Circus site, which is knitcircus.com, and order from their beautiful selection. And then remember to go to the Knitting Pipeline group on Ravelry and put your name in for the giveaway for the gorgeous Turquoise Pool. Okay, stay tuned for a few photos from Iceland and maybe some video, and I'll see you in a month or so. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.